Hello and welcome back for another Torah Tuesday. So glad to have you with me. Before we get started on Exodus 15 today, I just wanted to remind you that if you haven't subscribed and hit the little follow button or notification button on YouTube, that it would be really helpful if you did. We're nearing 10,000 subscribers, and every subscriber and every person who watches and comments helps the word get out wider so that more people can dive into the Torah and learn with us. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing this. Let's dive in. Today we are going to read the first few verses of Moses' song in Exodus 15, and I'll comment on some of the dimensions of what Moses is singing. So reading again from my own translation from Hebrew. This is not a translation you can find in a Bible somewhere because I'm working directly from Hebrew and rendering it in English to help me notice wordplay and other features of the text. So here we go, starting in verse 1. At that time, Moses and the Israelites sang this song to Yahweh. They said, "I will sing to Yahweh, for he has truly risen up. Horse and its charioteer he has cast in the sea. My strength and melody is Yah. He has become my salvation. This is my God, and I will beautify him. God of my father, and I will exalt him. Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. The chariots of Pharaoh and his army he has thrown into the sea, and his chosen officers sank in the sea of reeds. The deeps will cover them. They went down in the depths like a stone. Your right hand, Yahweh, glorious in power, your right hand, Yahweh, will shatter the enemy." So this is the first movement of the song in Exodus 15. And if you have watched the movie Prince of Egypt, you might remember that they sing a song as they're coming out of Egypt, and they sing a song in Hebrew. And if you've ever wondered what it is they're singing this song. So they sing, Ashira Ladonai ki gaoga. And that is the first line of this song. I will sing to Yahweh, or to Adonai, for he has truly risen up. There's a way of making something emphatic in Hebrew where you take a verb and you double it and you link them together, and it's a way of saying indeed or surely or truly. And so here the gaoga is the being risen up, doubled to make it emphatic. This is a corporate song. They're singing it together. Moses and the Israelites, or the sons of Israel, are singing it together, but it has individual pronouns. So I will sing to Yahweh, and yet they're singing together. So there's this, the song holds together the communal participation, but the individual benefits and the individual acknowledgement of Yahweh's victory at the sea. This is the first time that the name Yahweh is on the lips of the Israelites in the book of Exodus. So Moses has spoken Yahweh's name, even Pharaoh has, but this is the first time that together as a people, they say the name of Yahweh. There are lots of ups and downs in this song that mimic the raging waves that are going up and down. So Gaoga is one example of that. He has truly risen up. And we have an exaltation of Yahweh in verse 2 and verse 7, which we didn't get quite that far. The verb ga'a is also appearing in verse 21. The language of casting down the army or throwing them in the sea appears in verses 4 and 10. And then the song ends in verse 17 with going up the mountain and being planted on the mountain of Yahweh's inheritance. So there's a lot of reversals going on up and down, and it just mimics the raging waves of the sea. You might have noticed that I said charioteer rather than rider. The Hebrew word means rider, but at this period in history, nobody was riding horses. They would rather be riding in the chariot, being pulled by a horse. The technology of horseback riding hadn't been developed yet, and so horses pulled carts or chariots. And so the word rider would here be referring to the driver, actually, of the horse. That is, someone who's in the chariot. That's why I translated it as charioteer. There's an interesting statement in verse 2, my strength and melody is Yah. So one thing that's interesting there, obviously, is that it's a short form of the name Yahweh. It's just Yah, and this occurs in a number of places in the Old Testament, usually in poetry, where the divine name is shortened. But the other interesting thing here is the word melody. How is Yahweh their melody? Some have suggested that actually the word should be translated protection, and it's true that the word for melody and the word for protection sound similar. If it was protection, this would be the only place it occurs, but it's related to a verb that means to protect. There are cousin words, cognate words in Arabic, Old South Arabic, and Ugaritic that mean protection, so this is a plausible possibility. And maybe it's some of both. Maybe there's an intentional wordplay going on here in which Yahweh's protection provokes a song. So maybe the song is using a word that means melody that also sounds like the word for protection because God has brought protection and it's worth singing about. To exalt Yahweh in this song is to recognize Yahweh's superiority over any would-be competitors and to give him credit. Somebody could have given Moses the credit for this miracle. After all, he stretched his staff out over the sea. Someone could have credited another of the gods of Egypt for this. But no, the song makes absolutely clear that Yahweh is responsible for the victory at the sea. The word beautify is interesting. This is my God, and I will beautify him. This is an unusual word. It only occurs here in the entire Hebrew Bible, naveh, and it could mean enshrine. That would be basing it on the noun naveh, different A vowel, but similar word, and that word occurs in verse 13. So it's possible that it means enshrine. I will enshrine him. That is, I will travel with him to glorify him at the place where he's going to be enshrined, that is at the mountain. But beautify is another possibility. Some of you might have noticed if you're reading along in Hebrew, he has become my salvation. Does say in Hebrew, he has become my Yeshua. And of course, there's a lot of potential here for thinking of the New Testament. Jesus' Jewish name, Yeshua, Yahweh obviously becomes Yeshua in the incarnation. I would not say that this is a prophecy of that, but that this statement takes on special relevance in the New Testament when Christ comes in the flesh as God's tangible salvation. It's an echo of the deliverance that God already brought his people at the Sea of Reeds. It's significant that Moses sings, he's the God of my father. That echoes back to chapter 3, where God introduces himself to Moses as I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this God of his father is exalted. When it calls God a man of war, we need to be really clear about what's happening and what's not happening. Orthodox Christian teaching says that God is not male. We're talking here aside from the incarnation, where Jesus obviously comes as a male, but God is not male. God is beyond gender and beyond sex. So this is a metaphor. Man of war is a metaphor, meaning that God is a warrior. He is the one who fought Pharaoh and won at the sea. The Israelites didn't fight. They didn't take up arms. There was no actual weapon that met Pharaoh's weapons at the sea. God wins this battle with his strength, his strong arm. That's the only weapon that God uses, and it's mentioned in verse 6. Another thing to notice in the language of this song is that in verse 5 it talks about the deeps covering them, and they went down in the depths like a stone. Both of these words are significant. Deeps is tahom, which is a rare word that echoes the creation story from Genesis, the creation account. And depths is metzolah, and that echoes creation myths, mythical threats to God's power that come from the depths. The sea in the Bible is often pictured as, is often used metaphorically to represent chaos and any threat to God's rule and his order. And here the deeps and the depths are responding to God's command. They're swallowing up the Egyptian army that has been wreaking havoc or bringing chaos against the Israelites. So God's glorious right hand shatters the enemy. It's a resounding song, and we have more to unpack in future weeks, but this is a starter. And I'm so glad that you're with us on this journey, lingering on this song verse by verse to see its beauty. I hope you enjoy it. Share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, and have a great week.